Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to Better Together. When you know better, you get better. It is August 3rd, 2020. I don't know why, but this year the date just shocks me every day. And I'm like, oh my God, it's April. Oh my God, it's May. Now it's freaking Christmas. Not yet, but soon. I'm going to say that. Coming to you live from my home studio in Connecticut with my dear friend Meredith Ahern, who drove up. She's been quarantining with her mom, so don't worry, she's safe. She's been quarantining since April with her mom. And of course, we've got Kels manning the studio. FYI, we have been having some technical difficulties. If we shut down, please hang on. Kelsey will get us right back up. It's already happened 3 times in our testing this morning.
Yes, it has.
But not going to happen anymore because we professionals here. So we worked out the kinks the half hour before. Anyhow, excited to be with you guys today. Our quote of the day. Ooh, this is a good one. You ready? It's okay to say no. And that is from Caroline Welch, our guest today. I'm so excited to chat with her. She's a mindfulness expert. She's going to give us practical tips to enjoy more presence in our lives and empowerment tools to make meaningful changes for our futures. I am giddy because she is filled with tips and tools, and we're always adding tools in our tool belt for our lives. I must say, if you did not listen to our show on Thursday, quite possibly is my favorite show ever. I have already been diagnosing everyone around me.
She has.
And it's been really powerful to realize why we are the way we are, what we're comfortable with. I can't say enough good things about Thursday's show. Every man, woman, child should listen to it. Children, so that they know that they don't have to program themselves the way we all did. What? Anyhow, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. You'll get some little notifications that let you know about these amazing episodes that are coming your way. Helps us as well. Subscribe Queen over here. Woo! Since she joined, we're almost up 10,000 subscribers because she's actually asking people to subscribe now on social media, and people are doing just that.
That they are.
So guys, the lesson in life is ask and you shall receive.
Right.
Or
so,
if you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. So here I am, baby. Come and subscribe. Here I am, baby. Come on and subscribe. Subscribe to Better Together. Yeah. Anyway, subscribe to Better Together.
Soon.
You guys help us, and we will help you by continuing to bring you this amazing content. If you haven't already given a review, I'm so grateful for all the incredible reviews you've all sent in, and they really help other people to kind of understand what we are all about. So that is incredible if you can do that over at Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't joined us on Patreon, we're going deeper into our discussions there, and we can do things that YouTube doesn't allow us to do, like curate amazing clips. So we're also doing incredible giveaways there. So most recently, our patrons, Carolyn Taylor, Aaron O'Sullivan, and Margot Rand were selected for our 3-tier Patreon giveaway with Elisa VT. She was our guest last week where we talked about her company, Flow Living. And Kelsey and I did not get to our homework this weekend. However, we will be getting into Flow Living this weekend.
Yes, we will.
We just got a little too busy and we were too tired. So we were too tired to do anything, even though we still did a lot. But anyhow, anything that required a lot of brain power got cut off the list. So they got our incredible giveaway from Elisa VT, and it included a free book, 2 months of hormone supplements, and a year-long membership to her Flow Living's cycle syncing program. Meredith, if you don't listen to this episode and oh my God, it's incredible. Oh, guys, we really have incredible episodes here. I'm so giddy. Shout out to Jeff for incredible bookings, and Kelsey, all of you guys for your incredible work on the show, because we keep topping ourselves.
Truly.
A lot of people say yes to the show. That's the one thing I've learned, Maria, is that I find someone great and I go out and say, hey, Maria wants you on the show. They usually say yes, which makes, in some ways, our job easy. We have to search, but when we seek, they find.
I love it. So for more giveaway eligibility, join our Patreon today by clicking the link in the episode description. Our winner for the free coaching with Patty Penn, the Reiki master who was on last week, who was also incredible, and one of you wrote us a review and said that she was life-changing, will be announced on Wednesday. So guys, we got a lot of giveaways and a lot of great content. I mean, what more could you ask for? So.
Oh, wait. Leah in the chat. Anyone who's skeptical of Patreon, trust me, it's worth it.
Aww.
Leah.
Thanks, Leah.
Thanks, Leah.
Okay, so now before we get into any other fun stuff, because I have to tell you about my new TV obsession, Good News Monday, people. It is Good News Monday. And I'm so excited about this story because Jeff was like, this reminds me of you. And then we saw this and we were all dying. I'm like, this is so me. And this is like Meredith in the car, by the way. So watch this clip, guys.
All right. All right.
Well, before you hit play, let me set it up. So a woman in Montreal saved a squirrel who wouldn't get out of the road. So in the video, she nervously picks up the squirrel, like jogs over to a tree, saves his life. And by the way, if you watch really carefully, she starts patting him when she puts him down. Like she got really comfortable with him. And so, we love having our Good News Movement Mondays here on Better Together. So let's take a look at how freaking adorable the squirrel is because I need him in my life. Get that volume up. So the person in the car can't stop giggling. The squirrel won't go anywhere.
Don't touch. When she picks it up, it is freebies.
That is you, Maria.
It is you.
That is Maria.
Guys, the
1000%.
squirrel so
Yeah.
wanted to be friends with her. He wouldn't move. She had to literally pick him up and jog him across the street. And yeah, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, you would.
He was so friendly and cute.
I can't.
Do you know how many squirrels I've given safe passage to?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what that means, Kelsey?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
So, no, it's horrible, actually. So, first of all, since I was a little girl, I've always saved animals that, like, have either fallen out of trees or been sick. I'll create, like, a little box for them with, like, shavings
them.
and, I house them. I feed them with little water, like, needle thingies. And anyway, I've been saving animals for my whole life. So, where I live in LA, there's always like an accident. And so one day I was driving and the squirrel had been hit and I was like, oh my God. And so I get out of the car and I got like a shopping bag and I was patting him and giving him safe passage. I'm like, little guy, I'm so sorry. I'll be with you till it's your last breath. And like I pat them and I love them and I pray over them. And then they go away, and then I get really sad, and I go home and cry to Kevin. And he's like, "It's just a squirrel." And I'm like, "No, he was my friend."
Oh.
Yeah.
Or like mice, you've done.
Oh yeah, I try to give CPR to a rat.
Everything.
I like it's scary.
I didn't do the mouth to mouth part, but yeah, I mean lizards. I gave chest compressions to a lizard recently. Remember, Jeff? You never finished that video.
Praying mantis. We have the one video Dunkin' Donuts stuff, but by the end of this week I can get the praying mantis video edited.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I try to
The
save one of them.
Praying mantis.
Anyway, I love animals. That little squirrel, he was so cute. It reminded me there was a dodo video this morning
Oh yeah.
that I was obsessed with, and it was this bull terrier. You remember like Spuds McKenzie, like that dog, and he had this big smile on, and his owners, his two dads, I think they were from like Italy.
Yeah.
They had to pull him everywhere. He wouldn't walk, and he just had this huge grin on as he would slide everywhere.
I love him.
He was not cute.
Yes, he was. You're so mean.
It was not
He
cute.
did have a really big smile, but no.
Oh, he was
Oh
adorable.
my God.
Anyhow,
can't.
okay, so from squirrels and animals to this TV obsession that I have to share with you guys. So, yes, we're always working towards enlightenment. However, there's always curiosity in life, and we need mindless television. And so Kevin recently started yelling at Kelsey and I while we've been in Connecticut saying, you guys need to watch 60 Days In. It's this prison show. And of course, like, I've always been obsessed with prison shows. I don't know why. Maybe... And a lot of women are. I think we kind of want to know, like I love Dateline and all that. We kind of want to know how someone's going to hurt us. So we're like, let's educate ourselves, right?
Yeah.
In prison, is something that's like so crazy. I don't know. I'm always fascinated to get in the minds of criminals. So anyhow, we finally got it going. We watched 60 Days In. Happens to be produced by Lucky 8, who I'm working with on another project.
Amazing.
And they're incredible. And so 60 Days In chronicles like the story of, I think, 6 civilians who choose to go to jail.
You guys.
Okay, for various reasons. One guy, I think his name was Tim. He's a former Marine.
Zach.
Yeah, Zach wants to be a DEA
Right.
agent, so he wants to get in the heads of like, druggies, criminals,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's Robert, the teacher, who decides he wants to go because
man.
he thinks there needs to be reform. Then there's this wife of a military guy who thinks they're all getting free rides, and why should they get 3 square meals like my husband who's serving our country?
Oh my God, Jeff's face right
Yeah.
now is
Yeah.
amazing.
That's good producing. That's like very different stories. It's really
Jeff,
interesting.
the characters they chose, the casting is so genius. So Robert's like, oh, this is a piece of cake. I mean, he is like probably certifiable.
Yeah.
There's something not quite
Something's
right about
off.
him. Something
Something's
off. They threw him in solitary for 30 days. So when you're in the program, if you break a rule, you get punished accordingly. There's no like, oh, you're in this for the TV show and so you can do whatever you want. Oh, no. Because nobody knows but the sheriff and this one other captain guy. No one in the jail because there's so much corruption between the, what do you call them? The jailkeeper people?
Yeah, sure. I like
them.
that.
Anyway, security
correctional
guards,
officer?
correctional
Yeah.
officers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So anyhow, it's like there's this like 19-year-old kid who's curious because his brother's been in jail, incarcerated for 5 years. They all go in and it is like, I mean, really intense.
It's intense.
Kelsey and I were like, I'm like, Kelsey, I don't know if I can watch this. This is so intense. Like you saw a little bit last night. You were on your phone most of the time.
Mare was over
but
it, yeah.
that period of time before they eat their last meal and then they go in and then people are saying they want to F them and eat them and murder them and this and that. And I'm like, bah, what's wrong with people? Why would they do
Crazy.
this?
Well, and Maria and I keep saying too, the female, because the females and the males are separated, right? The female cell, it's just high school. It's like all this drama, high school. It's Jeff. I texted Jeff.
It's so
when we
good,
were watching.
guys. So I always say, watch 90 Day Fiance. It's the greatest reality television on the planet. And now Kevin and I are gonna have to figure out, because I'm back here for a little while, I might have to start cheating on him, and we might have to start watching. If we're gone for a long time, we decide, okay, all bets are off. We watch independently, and then we come back together. And I think that's what's gonna have to happen with 90 Days because I'm really missing it. But this show goes to a whole other level of reality. It is brilliantly executed. The people, the characters are insane.
It's wild.
It's actually one thing I would never do.
You were gonna say actually.
You know, I say yes to everything and I'll
Right.
try anything.
Yeah.
This is the one thing I would say
surprised.
abso-friggin-lutely never.
I'm surprised.
And here's why.
Yeah.
So when we do the work here, and it's interesting, let me
tell
close
us.
the loop on
Close
this
the
one.
loop.
Let me
Please
bring
close
this
the loop.
back.
why you're not
So,
voluntarily going
so
to jail.
as we learned last week on the show, what happened in our lives, like probably before age 10, what formed us, whatever was going on in our home is our comfort zone, right? So if abuse was in our home, that's what we're comfortable with. That's what we're used to. That's what we will end up continuing to kind of attract because that's where we feel comfortable, ironically, whether we want it or not, consciously, subconsciously. You know, for me, we broke down my things and I won't get back into it. But when we don't know what those things are, and that's what we do every day on this show, we're on this journey to get better and to learn and to grow. And like she said last week, it's really about consciously making choices every day and really doing the work consciously every day to get away from that programming, right? You go into this situation. Now, this situation could be replicated anywhere. It could be a workplace, it could be family life, whatever. You get to see from afar. Like the girl Tammy, she's a police officer. She's from Boston. Before she goes in there, you're like, oh, she's got her shit together. She's amazing, whatever. And then she gets in there and you just see her programming.
Yep.
You see
Yep.
that she was obviously an outcast in school. She obviously had issues where people were outcasting her and she didn't feel included. And now she's in this jail setting. And the second she doesn't feel included, she regresses back to that little pained girl. And so what does she do when she's pained? She kind of fights and starts picking fights with everybody. And is like, I don't want to be with you guys, right? Like imagine in the playground, I don't want to be your friend anyway, right?
Yeah.
But she really wants exactly that. She wishes they would include her.
Yeah.
She wishes she could be on the in. Nobody wants to be on the out. Dr. Dan Siegel, we talked about this, who is the husband of our guest today, Caroline Welch. And so it's so fascinating to be able to take a step back and see that that's exactly what's just happening, right? Those are the dynamics that we just continue to carry. And so I want Tammy to watch the show so she can identify this.
We're like reaching out. Jeff, let's get Tammy.
I know. It's so interesting.
I love it.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was really cool.
It's
So
wild.
that's that, guys.
That's that.
Watch 60 Days
Watch
In.
it. Yeah.
And TikTok isn't banned, even though I did save all I cared about with a few videos I did with my parents in quarantine because they're so cute and I really wanted to save those, but it's not banned yet. I don't really believe the hype that Trump wanted to cancel it because of his rally not going well. I think he really is concerned about China. I would think I saw that in the thing.
That's valid.
But
that was the interesting speculation. Was some wondered if maybe because TikTok was the reason his rally was ruined, if it's a vendetta. But I don't think so either. It's just an interesting.
That would be kind of tough. I don't know. He does have whatever. I don't want to talk about him. But but I think it's interesting.
It is interesting.
And Jeff, we're going to be tracking a storm here. We're getting a hurricane.
Storm tracker.
Isaias.
Storm tracker.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
Man.
So
Well, we'll keep us posted. Stay safe, guys.
Stay safe.
Don't worry,
will.
Jeff. I have to wake up every morning bright and early to water my dad's garden.
She loves it.
I don't.
Maybe the hurricane will help you with watering the garden.
So hopefully that will stop me from having to do it.
There you go.
My brother had put together this messed up watering system that doesn't even work. I brought a sprinkler guy over here to help me and he's like, "What the F is this?" And I go, "I'm glad it's not just me and the professionals are even confused." And in like 2 seconds, my brother would be like, "What are you guys, stupid? It's because of this. I have it hooked up to this, and then the birds come, and then they poop into this system, and then the pipe starts to kick over this way, and then boom, it gets wadded."
Totally makes sense.
I didn't know there was
And then Amazon delivers a package, and then if Amazon delivers the package, then the weight of the package on the front porch, then it levers a little water from the pipe underneath.
That makes sense.
That's my Boston accent, everybody.
That's good.
Yeah.
Real good.
So yeah,
So
I've been pulling out my hair setting up this house.
But you're killing it. You're doing well.
I'm trying.
We're getting there.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested, I'll be filling in for Kelly Ripa Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, co-hosting with Ryan. So tune in to that. We got to remember to tell my mom.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be really sad if she misses that. And she misses me so much. Kevin said she literally asks for me every minute of the day. I miss Maria. Where's Maria?
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So she'll be so excited to watch.
Yeah, she'll be excited. And
wrote it
I'll
down.
say hi to her. Hi, Mom.
So
Cute.
cute.
I'm in your house.
Yeah. House party without you here.
I threw a party in your room.
Oh my God.
Anyway, all right, let's learn about mindfulness. I don't know if I have my intro for Caroline.
Right
Here it is.
There you go.
So, that's interesting. It's part of the research, but it's not in the questions. We'll have to figure that scam out. Okay. Well, she is the CEO and co-founder with Dr. Dan Siegel, who has been on the show before. If you didn't listen to his episode, it was amazing. We'll put the link to that one in the summary just so that you guys can access it pretty quickly. The co-founder and CEO with Dr. Dan Siegel of the MindSight Institute in Santa Monica, California. She has served as an LA County court-appointed mediator as well as an in-house counsel at MGM Studios. Excuse me, I'm verklempt. She's frequently a booked lecturer and workshop leader, no idea what that word is. Guys, we're having some issues here. Talking about enhancing our well-being in our personal and professional lives, and she joins us today to discuss everyday mindfulness practices. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, your husband was incredible on the show. The two of you are probably like, what is that conversation like at home? I can only imagine. You guys are so enlightened and have so much knowledge. Do you guys ever fight about who's smarter?
That's such a great question that, of course, I cannot answer. One of the jokes is, and this was really clear when I was writing my book, because I was kind of obsessed with getting the science right. And so if I were to ask Dan a question, I knew we were in for a long discussion if he said, wow, that's interesting. I never thought about that. I have 7 points. So, then an hour later, I would have what I could cull into what I might put into the book in what I consider to be plain English.
So do you ever say like, honey, could you get to the point, please?
Yes, I do, but that doesn't work very well sometimes.
Oh, I understand. I have that in my life. My husband is amazing, but sometimes I'm like, honey, I'm yawning because this is just taking too long. I'm falling asleep. Well, I'm really excited to have this chat with you because there are so many things, within mindfulness that I think we can really benefit from. And you have so many tools, and we are always trying to acquire more tools to thrive in this world. And so purpose is a big thing for people. And obviously, I want to know your definition of purpose. And I know that you know that this is an important tool for living a mindful life.
I would start with the simplest definition I can give you is that it's what gets you up in the morning. It's what's meaningful to you. It has an impact on others. And there are many myths around purpose, like that it's one and done. You figure out your purpose at some point in life and then you're set. But as you know, we all play so many roles that actually, with respect to each role, we have a purpose. And as we change priorities or pace our lives, we continually need to adjust our purpose in many cases so that we can live aligned with it.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting because you stress that it's okay for our purpose to change throughout our lives. And apparently research in epigenetics is helping to validate this. Can you explain that?
What we're learning in the world of epigenetics, and let me just start by saying, epi means something on top of our genes. So there are regulators that can determine how our bodies or brains might be. And so early childhood experiences, for example, might make us, if there was something traumatic, then our regulation might make us a little bit more prone to being annoyed or fearful. Mm-hmm. And we also now know that we can inherit also from our grandparents some propensity as well. Given that perhaps the studies are showing in the case of, there've been studies with the Holocaust survivors and also other areas, just a very new area, but this also has an impact on who we are.
So what do you say to people who think they don't have a purpose?
I would say perhaps it just hasn't been articulated or considered. I think we all have things that we enjoy or find meaningful in our days, and our days are pretty hectic mostly. So it's often a matter of taking the time to articulate it for ourselves. And purpose researcher Victor Strecker says Just take a piece of paper, write down your purpose. That's the most important piece of paper that you'll have, and carry it with you.
I like that. Like a daily reminder.
Right. And it's a pretty powerful tool, because of course you have to be present with what is to be able to come up with your purpose and articulate it. But we all have these challenges in our lives or discouraging days. So if we can always refer back to our purpose and say, okay, well, maybe today was really disappointing at work and I didn't get to the three things I wanted to do, but I'm still on a mission to be the best educator I can be, or make the science as accessible as I can for my students. Those things keep us going. We haven't lost track of that. And that's very encouraging, especially on a discouraging day.
How would you help somebody find their purpose?
I'd start by asking them who they look up to. And often in people whom we'd like to emulate, we can find purpose. I would also ask what's important, what they think about when they get up in the morning, what makes them happy. And it's also, there's one of the other purpose myths is that it must be something grand. Like, I want to address climate change and make a huge difference. But the fact is that we all live within families and relationships, and even being our most resilient selves or most present selves is a very worthy purpose. And so I want to make sure that the listeners don't get carried away with the fact that it must have a major impact on the world. Of course, that's great, but you could say that for us to be our best selves means that we then can impact others, and that ripples out and makes this a much better world.
I agree. I like that. You stress the importance of the three W's. What went well? Will you elaborate on this and how we can apply this philosophy? I know you talk about pivoting, so maybe you need to get into pivoting first, but
we can come in either way with that. The three W's of what went well is a way that we start our meetings here at the Mindsight Institute, but it's used quite widely. And the beauty of starting with what went well is that inevitably you hear about the challenges of what happened on a given project. But it is so amazing when you start by being grateful for and bringing into the room what went well. So the link to pivoting, a lot of competition for these P's. I had to be very selective. I couldn't write an extremely long book. So pivoting became one of the P's that I wanted to use to show how presence can be in our lives, because change is so constant and predictable and consistent. But we as humans don't like change. So the pivoting comes in when we realize we need to make a change. And so rather than getting paralyzed and not being able to go forward, hopefully we can recognize, wait, I'm only pivoting, just as in basketball, I'm making a little swivel here. But I still have my skills, my relationships, my friends, my resources. And then this part of my life, whether it's personal or professional, is what I'm making a change in. And somehow just to have that grounding and be mindful of it can give us the courage and the strength to go forward and be pivoting when we can determine that we perhaps should consider a pivot.
So I should have asked this earlier, but tell me what you guys do at the Mindsight Institute.
Our mission here is to take the latest science and to make it accessible for well-being, both professionally and personally. And Dan is trained as a psychotherapist, and we say that we are not promoting a given form of therapy, but we inform therapy. So we like to bring together all different disciplines, or basically anything that we think would be helpful to our audience.
And what kind of people are coming there, and for what
We
reasons?
Our students are largely online, and traditionally they have been mental health professionals. But more recently, like in the last 10 years, we have many coaches, business leaders, attorneys, educators, parents, uh, administrators, all different groups of persons very interested in how mindfulness can impact our lives.
That's so neat. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was what's me, what's me now, and what's my family expectations. You say it's valuable for us to ask these questions.
Yeah, I say valuable because I think there are so many tracks laid out for us in school. And then when we get into positions in the world about what's expected of us or imposed on us. So I like to remind just to remind ourselves to take a step back and say, wait, am I on this path for me? Does this really work for me? And one of the traps is sometimes things are going well because we're good at something
Mm-hmm.
and haven't stepped back to look at how it was working for our deepest interest. And I have an example in the book. I interviewed a woman from originally from Pakistan, and she had practiced for 10 years as an accountant. Uh, and Ultimately, even though she was good at accounting, her love, our main interest was to become a lawyer. And her parents and her culture valued accounting over being a lawyer. So she didn't know how she would tell her parents, but the fact that she had finally come to terms with this herself gave her the strength to announce to her family that she was going to become a lawyer. So that took her 10, I mean, after practicing accounting for 10 years, she finally could get the strength to, look at what it is she wants, not what does the culture value or the society, but what would I like to do?
Yeah, well, that's such a tough thing for all of us to. I think everybody grapples with that, whether it's with professions or even um, family life. I've had so many family members that either didn't marry the person they loved because they weren't marrying within the Greek culture and that was a no no, or, whatever it was, they just were never making choices based on what they wanted. It was based on what the rest of the family wanted or what society wanted them to do. And that's a challenge.
It is a challenge because we're social beings
Hmm.
with social brains, and we like to be accepted, and we like to be a part of a group.
Yeah. Um, how do you encourage women to overcome fear of failure?
I don't know if we can ever overcome it because it's the way in part that all of us are wired. But I think if we can do a reframe, if we can mindfully recognize that I have to take this chance, even if I fail, because this is a window into my growth.
Hmm.
It's an opportunity. So hopefully that reframe can power us so that the fear of failure doesn't become overwhelming for us.
I like that. That felt much less pressured to me,
Yeah.
right? Like Meredith's going to be embarking on like a new career probably, and instead of having that fear,
Yeah.
I'm like it's just a window into,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel better? You also say
And
that.
the other thing I would add here, Maria, is that with pivoting, sometimes we think, okay, this is the last chance I'll have to make a change, or
Mm,
this decision is so forever. But to remember that we can pivot again. And that's also quite empowering. Like, okay, so if I don't get it right this time, if I need to, I will have the strength to make another change.
Pivot.
yeah. Well, if you guys haven't listened to our episode with Susie Batiste, the creator of Poopery, she is the ultimate pivoter. I mean, she kept coming failed business after failed business after failed business after failed business. In her early 40s, she's like, I quit. I stink at this. And boom, it was in that kind of free moment of her saying, I give in, I surrender, trying. She created these oils to, ironically, make poop smell not bad in a toilet. She creates poopery and ends up being the sole investor in her company that's now worth almost $1 billion. So clearly she was okay at this. It just, she had to keep pivoting until she found the right thing. But releasing yourself of that fear to not feel like badly that you haven't succeeded each time and people, look at you funny is a whole thing. One of the other things that we as women tend to do is overwhelm ourselves. We were having this conversation recently here with some friends. Why is this such a kind of female phenomenon, do you think?
There are many reasons. And of course, it starts very young and it starts in schools. And we can see that the socialization is part of it, and we take on a lot. We play a lot of roles. Traditionally, as we mature and become adults, if males could earn a living, then that was a measure of success, and that was where they could be considered. That was a priority for them. But women have increasingly had more arenas to work within. And so parenting, running households, caregiving, we have a lot on our plates traditionally. And so this inevitably means overwhelm and too much to do.
Yeah. I feel like we all have invisible superwoman capes on.
Yeah.
And we just think we're superheroes. And we are, but it's coming with an expense, and we see that with our health for sure.
Well, and Caroline, related to this, one of the most interesting things we talked about was the fatherhood bonus versus the motherhood penalty, and I feel like this relates really closely to this, and I'd love for you to enlighten our listeners on this.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this one.
And so back to the roles, if, for example, and I practiced law for many years, if I would leave my firm at 2:00 on a Tuesday to go to my daughter's soccer game, then my colleagues would think, wow, she doesn't care about her job. That would, and may or may not say something directly to me. But if a male colleague left to do the same thing, the thought would be more likely, wow, he's a great dad. So it's these gender biases that exist, whether articulated or not. But that is, and thank you, Jeffrey, for reminding me of that. That's a good example of the overwhelm and what contributes to our situations.
Yeah, I mean, we're all relating to that.
Yeah,
it really is. Talk about pacing, because I really thought this was interesting. Talking about what chapter I'm in.
Pacing is referring not only to the pace of our lives, but also when we do get to this point where there's too much, we need to do what I like to call selective neglect. So intentionally neglect something. And how are you going to figure that out? Figure that out, hopefully, by in part looking at what life phase am I in. I need to pace myself here. And hopefully our lifespans, our health spans are longer than ever. Statistically, we're living longer and we're more healthful during those years. So it can give us a lot of strength just to remember that, okay, right now, the next 5 years, this would be the ideal priority for me. And maybe it's not the time to take the most competitive career track that I could find at this time for whatever reason. And so stepping back and looking at that and having that lens, that broader lens, can inform our decisions.
I love that. I did that for my husband recently. He was about to start a new venture, and I was like, whoa. Hold up. Really think about this, because this is going to be a lot of work, ground zero, all the way up. This is your first moment where you can reassess your life and actually maybe consider doing the things that you've wanted to do for the last 20 years that you didn't feel like you could do, but now you're putting yourself in a situation where you're not going to be getting it again. And so, and I was like, and whose fault will that be? And so I was selectively neglecting for him. But I like that. I like selective neglect. And I feel like naturally we kind of do it as we get older to a degree because we know, you work at, most people work at a more intense pace when they're younger. I know that's what I did. And now I can be more selective with how I approach things and what I choose. But I really like that. Will you explain why it's important for us to distinguish between what's realistic and what is possible? I'm really excited to hear this one.
Well, it might relate to the example you just gave about your husband taking on something. I mean, there are so many possibilities for all of us, fortunately. And so being realistic is okay, what can fit into my schedule? And I use in the book the metaphor of a pebble, a rock, or a boulder. And so when you're asked to do something, you think, oh, I can do that. That's possible. And it may have appeared to be a pebble, but when the time comes, it may have grown to a bigger project. Or you might have taken on something that really was a small project at the time, but it's grown. So there's this very interesting relationship between possible and realistic. And so if you can kind of assess, for example, you might commit to something because it's so far in the future, you think, oh, for sure, that's something possible for me. But to be realistic, it would be helpful to look at, well, what's my schedule today? If I were to have to do this today, could I do it? Because quite likely, if you fast forward to that time in 6 months, you won't have any more time.
Yeah.
We think we will, but it's so elusive. We really won't for so many reasons.
So what if you agreed and now what was a pebble today in 6 months is coming closer and it's a boulder and it's weighing you down and it's, taking its toll on you? What then?
Then pivoting. We have to decide, okay, is this something really important to you? And then with the pacing, okay, and is this the time in my life to have this kind of take over my life? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with things taking over our lives sometimes. It's more a matter of how do we interact with that? Because a busy, engaged life is a stressful life. And so it's a matter then of deciding, okay, if this has become a boulder, again, looking at purpose, is this something I'm still feeling aligned with? And I'll make this work. That means I selectively neglect something else, and this can become front and center. Or maybe I need to delegate, which is also kind of hard for us sometimes, and start saying no, another challenge for us.
There was something you said just a second ago about we live, even a busy, engaged life is stressful.
Right. I'm thinking of the work of Kelly McGonigal, who researches stress at Stanford, and she had spent years, as many had in the field, thinking stress is our enemy, and then had a reframe based on studies that showed us, no, it's not the engagement level or the stress, if you will, itself, it's how you relate to it. So if you think stress will kill you, it is more likely to kill you. If you think this is just what my life looks like, I'm a an editor, I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, all the roles, and this is busy. But if you have that perspective, that is the key to being able to handle it in a healthful way.
So what you believe will be.
Yes, in a nutshell.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. Pacing exercises. What are those?
The pacing exercises, I tried to bring alive in the book every concept, and it would be, for example, setting out in a given day to perhaps titrate the tech. That is, okay, today I'm only looking at email at given times, twice a day, or I will receive the news, not have it kind of in the background. So these are exercises we can do that will help us to pace our days and to have perhaps more solitude if possible, and more ability to uh, more peacefully move throughout the day.
So it's about kind of choosing what you want to do and how much you want to do. Is that something you do the day before, or is that something you do in the morning when you wake up? This is what I'm going to choose today.
It's a combination. It's always I'm thinking about the work of Gretchen Rubin, and she always encourages us to make one decision. Like, if you want to jog, don't get up every morning and say, is this a good day for me to jog or not? Make the decision that this week, this month, or this is my exercise. I'm jogging every morning at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a combination. You make the decision, you plan ahead, or it's one of your habits. But at the same time, one of the key concepts of mindfulness is that we're trying to spend more moments present, more and more of our moments every day. So it's not that we just sit for 12 minutes with the timer, and when the bell rings, then the mindfulness is over.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is more to have it integrated into our lives, so that even, for example, when I'm driving my car, I'm aware of my hands on the steering wheel. Or one of the working moms whom I interviewed, she was very quick to say, well, I'm not very mindful. But then as I explored with her what her day looks like, she said, okay, well, when I get home from work, I touch my front doorknob and I just take a couple of breaths before I enter the house, and then connect with my teenage daughter. So even though she didn't think she was mindful, because it was equated in her mind with having a formal practice, she's very mindful. And this is bringing presence into a very ordinary moment of her life. But this is really the beautiful thing about mindfulness, if we can bring those mindful moments more and more into our daily routines.
Yeah, I mean, most of us get in the car, we don't even know how we got to the location, right?
Right. Or
We're on
we
the
miss the
phone.
location.
Yeah, we're on the phone. We're like, whoa, did I take the highway or the back roads? Like, that happens so much. So, will you elaborate on each of your 7 key principles of mindfulness?
Oh, sure. The first one is, if we can be more present, we're less on autopilot. And that relates to something there's a part of the brain, the default mode network. And when we're ruminating about the past or the future, then we're living in the midline circuits of our brain primarily. And if we can activate the side circuits by being present, so for example, to use your driving example, where I missed my stop, well, I was in some kind of thought safari in my midline circuit. And usually these safaris are all about us. I did this and then that. It's like a movie. But the more that we can get out of that, and the second feature is to have more sensing, less thinking. So the more somatic body experiences we can have, which are very present, the less thinking that we can, be exposed to. And then this naturally, the third one is about having more presence, less in the past or the future. And we know that our minds are wandering naturally. We spend half of our lives with these wandering thoughts, and 90% of those thoughts are reruns, which you probably know from your own personal experience. We just go over the same thing unless we can become present and stop those thought safaris in their tracks. So the fourth feature is that we can have more acceptance and less aversion and less reactivity, more time to respond, not react. And by accepting, it doesn't mean we like it. A lot of bad things happen, but at least we say, this is what it is. This is what it already is. So this piling on that we might tend to do is often more stressful for us than whatever this event is that has occurred. And the sixth feature is to keep in mind that our thoughts are fleeting. They're not set in stone. It's just data. And it's fleeting. It's not facts. We don't have to act on them. And in fact, the same is true of emotions. Our feelings are fleeting. And unless we engage with them and, get down on ourselves for something, the life of an emotion is about 90 seconds. And so that's also when I came more, and I'm still working on this journey of mindfulness, but when I could come to terms more with how fleeting thoughts and emotions can be, it's very empowering, because in the moment you say, I am sad, but really I feel sad. Get a little distance. That helps a lot. And the final feature is that mindfulness can bring us a broader view, and we can just step back rather than being so caught in this moment of anger or this moment of resentment. And we can just get a little bit more of a perspective.
So, how do you do that?
Your questions are getting more difficult. You do that. I want to answer you as best I can. You do that. The real answer is it depends. It depends on you. So as we've said, there are times for things. So some of us get ambitious and, oh, wow, now I've learned about mindfulness. I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes every day. But no, probably more realistically, if it is a time in your life when you can begin a practice, you start slow. I'm gonna sit down for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's fine. And the one thing that the research confirms for us, there's a lot of research coming out of the University of Wisconsin and the lab of Richie Davidson. And we know that it's about being regular. And we also know that the time hovers somewhere around 12 to 15 minutes a day.
What time does?
The time for us to have a mindfulness practice, like a mindful awareness practice. So if you had a breath practice, or you sat and listened to sounds, or you had a walking meditation where you tried to just be fully present in your body for what's going on. 12 to 15 minutes is one of the time frames that has been shown repeatedly to be an amount of meditation time to have an impact on us. And what we don't know is whether, if that's broken into 2-minute segments or all at once. That's all still being studied. So all of this by way of saying every few seconds or moments that we can be present, it all contributes to our overall well-being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, for people who don't know much about mindfulness, those moments when you're present are what gives you peace, right?
That's right. And you feel, different people describe that differently. Peace, space, calm. And so everyone can tap in for themselves to what that space feels like. And that's one of the first things, is to become familiar with that. Mm-hmm. And realize that mindful awareness is a natural resource. It's available to us 24/7. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
Like purpose, same idea. Lots of research proven health benefits for both of which are available to us, to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, we end the show every day with be a nice person, make good choices, and be present
I love that.
for a reason. And so I think we've got some good tools. Do you ladies have any questions before? Do you have a
think
mindful
so.
practice, Meredith?
I think I need to do some work to it.
Yeah.
No,
Meredith needs a practice.
me too. You know
Well,
what?
I'll give you a good example. Like earlier today, I was just in my kitchen here, just cranking. I'm trying to get my house set up for my parents. So when they return, and my mom's sick with brain cancer, and I just want to make the load as light as I can for my dad. So I'm trying to get everything done. And in trying to get everything done while I'm trying to get my work done, the levels were getting higher and higher and higher. And I finally was just talking to my husband. I go, you know what? I need to stop.
Yep.
And I literally hung up the phone. I went upstairs and I did a hypnotherapy session. I have like my recordings, and I just shut down for 20 minutes. And then my nervous system just calmed down. And then I was in a much better state to enter the studio and do my show rather than up until the last minute revving high. And so I think one of the things, you have to kind of realize is, especially for women, because we are overbooked and we are overwhelmed and we are trying to fill many, many roles, is starting to identify that moment when the kettle's getting hot and say, I got to stop. And even 5 minutes of nothingness will change my setting. I knew in that moment I needed more than that. But those are like kind of the greatest tools that I've been able to apply that have helped me.
Yeah, and I think you've in part answered your own question about how do we do this.
Well, here's the thing. I know how I do it, but you're an expert that I want to tap into because you might have something better for us to.
It's just what you're saying, and I had interviewed over 100 women for my book just to see what's your relationship with mindfulness, and one of them said, the hardest part about mindfulness is doing it.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's also like you were saying, you're so busy, so the last thing you think that will help you is to stop and do nothing for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's so counter. We just think if we could work faster or more efficiently, we
and
could
push
actually
harder.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's this stopping it, and as you suggest, recognizing that you need to stop. That's the key.
Yeah. I used to just, okay, no, I got to push harder. And I used to like try to fight through, and oh my gosh, what a damage I would do to myself. It was not helpful, and it's not helpful to the people around you. So now I realize, okay, kettle's running hot. I've got to just go. I have a 6-minute meditation that I love. I have the hypnotherapy sessions that I love. And so I go to those tools. Kelsey, I know you had something you wanted to say. So
I was just going to say, I think it's so interesting. We chatted with
Gretchen?
Susan. No, it was, Gretchen too, but Gretchen and Susan David about how
I love Susan.
she's amazing. It's like how we are not our emotions, right? It's not I am stressed. It's I feel stressed. And that's been helping me so much. So applying that as well as applying like what you're saying, I think that it's how we react to things, and not solely taking on that like you are not stressed. You are not that. Yeah. But I've been really trying to practice that. So I love.
Now, you've corrected me a couple of times.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you feel stressed. I'm like, yes, Kelsey, I feel stressed. I am not stressed. I am not stressed. I am Maria.
I am Maria. It's serious. It's hard though. It's
I know.
hard.
But it's changing the programming, right? So we're kind of reprogramming. I think when you make a decision that things aren't working for you the way that they're going, you make a conscious effort to acquire tools to reprogram. And so it's like, to me, I always say it's like building a muscle. I got to keep practicing it till it becomes, this big bulging muscle, or it becomes second nature to me. And so some of these things that I've applied really well, the tools that I've put in my toolkit over the last couple of years have served me well. And every day on the show, I get to get new tools. So it's exciting.
That's great.
So
I was just reminded of we have a mindfulness leader in our field named Sharon Salzberg, And she always uses the example when it comes to I am and I feel. She says, well, you don't say, I am a sore elbow. You say, I have a sore elbow.
Yeah.
So it's the same with our emotions. Like just make that little buffer there. And it is extremely helpful.
Yeah. Well, Caroline, this was amazing. I want to make sure that we mention the book. It's called The Gift of Presence, a mindfulness guide for women. It was released March 17th
Oh,
of
look at her.
this
She's
year.
got it up.
Yay!
Woo!
Let's be prepared.
And I love, I mean, another time we'll have to get into all of your travel and your explorations through Japan and, you know, Iran. And I mean, gosh, your background and your story is incredible. But Caroline has tons of resources related to the book on her website, including worksheets and exercises that you can apply today. So go to carolinewelch.com. We'll put the link to the website inside the summary of the show so you can just find it easily. And you can follow her on social media at Caroline Welch Author. So that is that. Caroline, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Tell Dr. Dan we said hello.
I will.
And we'll talk
Thank
soon. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pretty cool, right,
Oh
guys?
my gosh,
Very
amazing.
cool.
Amazing.
My notes were a little screwed up.
Mine are all, oh no.
Not gonna lie. So I started backwards and was like, wait, what? Huh? There's like all kinds of stuff. We'll figure this out. But helpful
Still
information this Wednesday, guys. So tomorrow we are going to re-air an episode because I'm going to be live on live. Well, no. Tomorrow we're re-airing an episode. What episode have we chosen yet?
We haven't picked. Let's decide.
Oh gosh, we need to
Ooh.
be promoting what episode.
know.
Jeff.
What we've liked doing, and we can change this, is deciding based on this show which one we're excited about to re-air. But if you want me to start picking in advance, we can do that too.
Well, yeah, we want to be able to tell everybody.
Jeff, off
we
the top
will
of your
for
head.
sure
Just kidding.
We always do a social campaign at night. So there will be whatever we pick, we'll be tweeting, going on story and IG, whatever show we pick.
Okay, well, we're going to have an amazing episode for you guys tomorrow from the library. Wednesday, we are going to have the hugely popular entrepreneur, podcaster, and self-help guru, Gary V. And he's going to blow our minds. We should reach out to him, Jeff, so we can get links to those workshops, because if you guys haven't been able to find them, I need them immediately. So you're going to reach out to him the second we hang up.
Great. Well,
And you're going to get those emailed to me within the hour, because I need to be able to see them in my free time, which is a very short window after this show. And so we'll have him on Wednesday. And if you like today's episode, well, this is actually the same one you referred last week, so we're going to cut that out because that's not based on today. Okay, guys, we'll figure out our paperwork another day.
Gretchen and Susan.
Okay,
Gretchen and Susan.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then we have
I
Sharon
have last
Salzberg on
week's
in a couple
suggestions
weeks, too.
still on here.
Well,
Jeff,
sorry.
last week's suggestion still on
I know,
here.
right. We
Jeff.
talked about shadow work. I know we talked about shadow work again on the call, but
Jeff.
I should've- Sorry, guys.
Okay.
We still love you, Jeff.
We'll think about that.
Ah!
That's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this information is helpful to you. We can follow us at Maria Menounos, of course, at Caroline Welch Author, at Jeff Crane Graham, at Kelsmeyer2, at MLA Hearn 812.
Yes.
And remember, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.